Hey, what's going on out there? I go by the name of RM, and in this video, we are going to count down the top 10, my top 10 go-to VSTs. Let's get into it. Number one is Expand 2. I want to turn some of these off. Expand 2, in my opinion, is the poor man's Omnisphere. This is a rompler, and this has so many sounds. I got this about 3 years ago on Plug-in Boutique. I got it for $5. Now, I will say this about Plug-in Boutique. If you're just starting out in production, audio production, whether engineering or, making beats, Plug-in Boutique is one of your best friends because they always have sales. They always have like bundle deals. And with every purchase, you can rack up points and use for future purchases. So with this one here, I have a piano sound loaded up, and I wanted to demonstrate this arpeggiator. So if you're not a good piano player like myself, this will be your best friend. So what I'm going to do is just hold a few chords down and let the arpeggiator do its work. Now I'm playing the piano with one hand behind my back as I'm recording, and it still sounds pretty decent. So when you give your focus to it, this here now with the arpeggiator off, this is how it sounds. And with it on. And they have different modes. They have a Latin piano, different patterns and things of that nature that you can go through and experiment. I would go ahead and pick it up. Last I checked, it was $15 on Plug-in Boutique. So this is one of my go-to VSTs. Next on the list is Analog Lab by Arturia. The thing I like about this is it's a collection of vintage keyboards. And I got this last year. I think I paid $250 for it. They dropped this right before they dropped the V8 collection. I have the V7. And this is definitely my go-to in terms of pads, bass lines, or bass and keys. So I'm going through some of these keys here. Some of my favorites instruments are the DX7, the CS80, the CMI, and the Mini Moog. So just warm sounds. We can go through and let's see what else they have. Let's pick. So they even have styles like from the 60s, 70s rock. It's a great layout. Let's see what some of the bass sounds sound like. Little dubstep you got there. What else they have? Something more natural. We can actually see what the Moog. Where we at? Mini. So we pick the Mini, and then we go pick bass, and it filters all of it out. So this is my go-to for a lot of different things. I wanted to make mention of sound selection. That's one of the best things that you can focus on in your audio production. You can have a sound that sounds like crap. Let's say you record a sound from the corner of the room and the mic picks up just a little bit of the sound. I don't care how many effects you put on that sound, the initial source is still going to be that source. So you can put all the condiments you want on a hot dog. But what's going to taste better? This hot dog that has a whole bunch of different condiments on it, or a well-cooked, succulent steak that might only have lightly buttered? That might be one of the worst analogies I've ever said, but it lends itself true. This analog lab is that succulent steak. You don't need to do too much to these sounds. They are that well recorded. So we're going to go on to the next one, and that is Decimort 2. Now I already have this loaded up, and I have a drum loop loaded as well, so we can see how this actually works. So let's start off with everything off. I'm going to play this drum loop, and then I'm going to engage this Decimort and see what it does to the loop. This has to be, first of all, let me turn all this stuff off. This might be the best bit crusher I've ever come across. There's so many options here. You have your bit depth resolution. You have your DC off. You can turn that off or on. You have a preamp up here. Output knob. Has a filter built in. They have the jitter and the sample rate. So as you can see, it already has a lot of presets for your ASR 10. They have the MPC. You have the SP1200. And I have a secret one in here that I use that I'm not going to display. I'm going to keep that my own secret. But the best thing I would say is to dial in your own settings. You know what you like. You can use the preamp to give it a little more boost. I have noticed, like with the ASR 10, whatever they boost with the preamp, they'll go ahead and dial back the output volume to kind of level it out. But that is the Decimort 2. I think let's see, I have it right here off the top of my head. I don't remember who creates this. This is the D16 group. And they have a lot of things. They have Centaurus and Frontier. I think that's another VST that they sell that's very popular. So yes. Next we have Guitar Rig 5. Guitar Rig for me is my go-to for bass amps. Now I usually use the DI bass, the direct input. And this just gives my bass that extra kick. I don't have to do too much EQing. I might filter the high end off the bass after I run it through this, but that's pretty much it. And with this, you can feed in other instruments. You could be experimental because you can build your own components. You can erase all of these. Let's see if I can delete, and delete. And all you have to do now, you can use this for delay. You could just have some type of delay module. And you can just layer these things. You can put a cabinet on here if you wanted to, whatever the case may be. So if you're playing a piano and you wanted to run it through Guitar Rig, it's not just for bass and guitars. You could use it for a lot of other different things. Next up is the SSL Compressor. I use this on my master channel. It gives your mix that glue. Now, a few settings that might help you. I've heard a few people, I was watching this video not too long ago, and a guy was saying, if you keep your attack at 30 milliseconds and your release at 1, it'll give it enough time to breathe and it won't clamp down on your mix as hard. I only do a few decibels of compression. I'll have my makeup at 1, and then I'll dial in the threshold until I'm getting 1 dB of compression. But what I found is what I initially started out doing was just keeping this on auto, keeping the release on auto. I keep my attack at about 30 milliseconds. And in my opinion, that gives me the best sounding glue, if that makes any sense. So this is something I use in every mix, and let's go on to the next one. FabFilter. FabFilter Pro Q2 is my go-to EQ. We can actually put this on the master channel. I'm gonna use this drum loop again to demonstrate what this does. All right. Now, as you can see, I was toggling this little snowflake here, and this is how you freeze the frequency response coming into the EQ. I want to check to see if I'm still recording. Yes, I am. This is the frequency response going into the EQ. You can freeze that. They actually have mid-side EQ here. So all you have to do is go here. No, it's at the bottom here. You have your mid-side, and then you can choose that. Or you could choose the sides. Or you could choose that. This is a very popular EQ. They're on Pro Q2 or 3 actually. I have 2, and I've been using this for a couple of years now. Next on the list is my PAZ Analyzer. Now this is something I've used since I got the Diamond bundle from Waves. Every track, same drum loop. Let's go ahead and use that. Now, as you can see here, it's got the same function, the freeze function. So the orange representation of the stereo field and the frequency response will be held in place. And as you can see, this was a great drum recording because there was no phasing, no phase issues. And I'm going to get to that. I have some bonus picks, and I'll get to that drum loop later. But I use this. I put this at the end of my master chain. So after the limiter, I could see the true representation of the frequency and the stereo imaging. And there's others out there. I think Ozone, they have it. I mean, everyone pretty much has it. They have free ones out there, but I use this one. So next is the stereo spread. Now, I don't need to put this on the master channel. I'll just open this up. So when I want to do stereo imaging on my pads or maybe a piano sound, I use this. Now, this is a little tricky. I had to do my research on this, but Waves, the thing about that, they have so many videos out there that once you purchase a VST, they already have probably a 10-year-old video about it, unless it's something that recently came out, and they're on top of that too. So that's why I like these reputable companies like Waves. They are really on top of it. With this, you can enhance the spread of the stereo field. So let's go up. However, so let me load up my preset here. So you have a cutoff frequency area that, let me make sure I'm saying this correctly. Whatever you dial this into, this will become mono. Anything under this is in mono. So as you can see, when I go down, everything above 100 Hertz will be stereo. So I dial it back up. So now everything under 650 Hertz will be in mono. And that helps out tremendously. And again, you can manipulate the spread here. How wide do you want the stereo spread? And how many cycles do you want? They call it sweeps. How many times do you want it to sweep between the left and the right channel? So this is my go-to for stereo imaging. They have the Easy Wider. Waves has another one that's eluding me right now, but this is my go-to for stereo imaging. The next one is the very, very popular RC20. Now I can throw this one on the master channel. Let's go ahead and do that. And let's play the drum loop. Now, as you can see, this goes without any really introduction. This has been out. This is one of the most popular coloring VSTs out there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. I don't want to get into a full breakdown on, you know, what each of these knobs do. This is just my top 10 go-to VSTs. And when I want to color a sound, if a sound just doesn't have that character, I usually go to the wobble the most because it gives it that movement. And you can actually put this on your master channel just to give it that vintage sound, that vinyl, or I have it on VHS, that tape sound. Now, nothing's coming into it at the moment. So once I play it, then it will enable the noise. Now, I believe there is a way where the noise can continue to go on even if something's not playing. But in any event, this is my outside of Decimort for the bit crushing. If I want to color it from the wow, the flutter, give it a little bit of distortion, and of course that crackle or that tape hiss, I go to RC20. And last on the list is my H delay. I like this one because I can just dial it in to my liking. It's very simple, right to the point. There's a lot of different other delays, but this is my go-to from Waves. You actually have the low fidelity button here. Let's go ahead and throw this on the master channel and see how it works. That I use this because this was one of the first delays that I've got my hands on, and I just didn't turn back. There's probably better that have a lot more options, but this one does the trick for me. So with all that being said, there are two more things I wanted to mention outside of the VSTs. And when I talk about sound selection, one of the most important things is your drums. What type of drums are you using? Are you using stock drums or are you using some of these sample packs? Now, the thing I'll say about sample packs is they're already processed. So not only if you don't have a good understanding on how to EQ certain instruments, your kicks or your snares, or how to compress them, not only that, but it saves you time where you don't even have to do it. So I wanted to talk about, let's go ahead and open up my files here, Blap Kits. I got this not even a year ago, maybe 6 months ago. And I was always on the fence. Should I get it? Should I not get it? I got the black box bundle, and I believe I paid $150 for it. It might have been $2. But as you can see here, it's just a long list of all this. And in each folder, I mean, you should not need another drum kit after this. Now, if you want real sounds, I do know they have Addictive Drums, Easy Drummer, Studio Drummer. I think Steven Slate even has drums, but those are more on the real drum kit sounds. These drums are incredible, and you don't have to get the black box bundle. I would say Blap Kit 1 through 5 are my personal favorites. but they just have interesting sounds. So let's. And not only that, if you get the black box bundle, the, let me see if I can find it, the sweeps. You have transitions here. Yeah, I mean, what more do you have to say? And the loops too. I was just using, where are we at? The Shaolin Story. These loops are incredible. Now, I don't use loops like that. I usually make my own loops, but if I'm in a situation where I'm just trying to throw something together or just having fun, I might go and use some of those loops. And my last but not least, I'm going to throw a picture up, is my MX49 keyboard. I just got this keyboard the beginning of the year. I wanted something where I could just like do an input into my interface and play off of. And I was doing some research, and this MX49 Yamaha has the motif sounds. Um, and it's not enough I could say about it. I mean, the sounds are incredible. They're more organic sounds, flutes, guitars, chromatic instruments. Their drum kits are dope. Their basses are dope. Their acoustic pianos are dope. They actually have some more synthetic sounds like pads and sound effects, but I use that. And with some of these VSTs, that's how I come to make my music. I like to thank you for listening to me stumble across my top 10 go-to VSTs. Again, Plug-in Boutique, in my opinion, would do so many people a great service because it's going to be inexpensive. You'll find VSTs. And the thing about it is, you know, they have user reviews. So, and I think they even have trials for some of these VSTs, so you can try it out before you buy it. Again, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, or if there's VSTs that I might not have covered that you think people should know about, leave it in the comments below. And until next time, peace.